Alright, so I'm refuting the topic about the book 50 Shades of Grey. It was actually very hard for me to identify what this person was trying to achieve by using the book as a way of informed personal abuse goes on throughout this story, which this is just a story. It's actually not this is actually not real events. So it was I identify what she was trying to what her position was about the book that is about a guy that is needs power and needs to submit people in order to, or women especially, in order to feel strong and to feel better. And then she talks about problematic problems that go throughout the story, but this is just a fictional book and it's just for entertainment. So if I would have been this person, I probably would have just gone through actual events, and it would have been a way better way to argue that these are things that are happening in real life. So I will try to make my claim that staying in a relationship like in this actual case in the book, it's really problematic and it's unhealthy, and I will try to support that by saying that when partners become abusive, then there's a sexual victim, and then it becomes then it produces a physical, mental problem with these victims. So according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, intimate partner violence is real. It's not like in the book. So, and stalking is actually a problem. So, on average, 20 people per minute are victims of physical violence by partners in the United States. And over a course of a year, that equals to 10 million people, and it's not only women, so men are victims as well. So in the book, it's just about her being abused by this person. They do talk about, I believe, that he was abused when he was younger, but it's not the main point of the book. When this in the book, they also talk about what I perceive as being acquaintance date rape. It would have been good if she talked about this and explained what it really was, because what this is it's a person that could be your friend, your family member, could be somebody that you just met, and these people feel powerful when they do things to women or men. So the perpetrator is motivated by a need of power and being dominating and humiliating another person. And sometimes that happens when they offer alcohol or drugs or anything like that to be able to do whatever they want with these people. And in the book, I mean, the person that talked about this comment on. When she was making the comment, she said that Mr. Gray was giving alcohol to this lady in order to be able to rape her. And I believe that was, I mean, it's just a story. So the victims also developed physical, psychological problems. It was very obvious in that book, I believe, because the lady tries to just do whatever it takes to please him. So that means that she was an educated person, and she decided to just stay in that relationship just to pleasure him because she found pleasure on it by doing so. They also develop a psychological trauma. So for the emotional abuse, I found a study conducted by Jennifer Frey, PhD professor of psychology at the University of Oregon, and participants completed anonymous self-report surveys with symptoms and trauma inventories. Participants were asked if they were physically, sexually, or emotionally abused, but they never admitted it. So in the case of the person that was doing this argument earlier, I will add that if she had come up with an evidence that was more, or that was stronger, or that were based on real events, it would have been a much more successful argument. Thank you.
All right, Hugo, I understand that the proposition that you're responding to is a little complicated, and the argument had some issues to it that are problematic also. You almost do the same thing that the last speaker did, is try and make a better argument out of the original claim than was being presented here. I think it might make a little bit more sense to try and figure out what the goal of the advocate in this was. Is it the notion that accepting the character of the story is going to have a harmful effect on the readers because they're going to misunderstand sexuality and what sexual abuse is? Then you could respond that this is just a story and it's unlikely that anybody would be affected by it. If the advocate is simply saying these things happen in the story, well, I think you just say, yeah, and it's a story, so what's the point? Is there a reason that the story is harmful or dangerous? We don't know. But the truth is that people are fascinated by characters that are flawed, problematic, and essentially evil, rapists, abusers, whatever the heck you want to call it. We've got plenty of historical information and examples of characters in fiction that are guilty of the same kinds of things that go on in the story, mental abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, all those kinds of things. I mean, if you would talk about movies, for instance, go back to all the gangster films, when here we are admiring a bunch of people who are killing other people, and we want to see Michael Corleone get away with it and rise to power and be powerful. But of course, along the way, he slaughtered a whole bunch of people, and he lied to his wife and misled her in regard to those kinds of things, and he slaps her at one point, and we're supposed to empathize with this person. Now we've got the same thing going on in this book. So how is this different in this particular situation? Why is this harmful? The advocate doesn't make any argument about why it's harmful. I can see you're trying to find an argument here that you kind of bounce between making the argument for the advocate and then making an argument that there isn't really an argument here, and that just gets a little bit confusing. You had this one study that you referred to by Dr. Frey, and you kind of tell us what the study was. It was self-reported surveys, and then we got none of the data from the self-reported survey. I don't know why you introduced that study, and there's no information from the study except here's what the study was. It was self-reported surveys of people. And what did they self-report? I don't know. And then how does that apply to that argument? So I know you're trying to find something here. It's like kind of shadow boxing sometimes, and I thought a couple of spots you kind of landed something that would be counted as a counterpunch, but sometimes it just feels like, you're wrestling with smoke. All right, thank you. Judy.